400 par is Prime Minister Modi's war cry. They're heading there, but not there yet. 335 is the current projection by C Voter for the India Today group for this Mood of the Nation opinion poll, the last MOTN before the Lok Sabha elections. 335, way short of 400 at this moment. This is 18 down from the last election. So if you take all the allies together, they had 18 more last time. They're down at 335 at this moment. The India Alliance is at 166. That's 75 seats more than the last time. The others are at 42, 57 down, but that's an apples and oranges comparison because some of the parties which were in the others have now moved to the India Alliance. The big story, though, is that the NDA is set to come back to power quite comfortably. See, you want to hit 4 centuries in one match, you're hitting 3.5 centuries just yet. And remember, Rajdeep, there's also the fact that once this message goes out that Prime Minister Modi is comfortably placed, then a lot of people may decide, "Arey, vote kya waste karna isi ko do," because if he's coming back. So that ultimately could also come into play.
You know, there seems to be, Rahul, an inevitability about the outcome. I think this is one of those strange or rare elections where it almost seems, at least when you speak to political observers and politicians, that the outcome is known. It's a question of where does the NDA, BJP-led NDA end up? Where does the BJP end up? These numbers are showing the BJP is roughly just around where it was in 2019. The NDA is marginally down, but as you said, there could be a bump it could get in the next 2 months because if it campaigns hard and the BJP is known to do that. Plus, could it get more allies? Remember, all of this is before the possibility of a Chandrababu Naidu or an Akali Dal joining in. All of that could take the BJP above 350. I know that there is all this buzz about 400 par. That perhaps will require the perfect storm. But the BJP has set the base. I think what this Mood of the Nation poll shows, people want Mr. Modi back. The majority seem to want Mr. Modi back for a third term in the first past the post system. And unless there's some kind of a miracle in the next 6 to 8 weeks, the India Alliance will have to simply accept next time, or good luck to you, 2029. 2024 appears as close to a done deal, Rahul, with these numbers. And the Prime Minister's popularity remains pretty high again.
It will be interesting to see whether he just wants to equal Nehru's record or actually be around the next time to beat Nehru's record, or at least attempt to beat Pandit Nehru's record. Let's take you through how the party-wise vote share and seat share would stack up. We looked at the alliance-wise numbers. Let's now look at the party-wise numbers. The Bharatiya Janata Party had 37% of the vote in the last election. That is expected to go up by a massive 3%. I'm saying massive because in a national context, for one party to be able to increase its vote share by 3%, that is a very significant achievement. The Congress had 20% of the vote share last time. C voters predicting at this moment that that could come down to 19, just a dip of 1. Others were at 43, they could be at 41. The big story there, though, is that the Bharatiya Janata Party, which in the last elections was standing at 37% vote share, could go up a massive 3% to 40.
You know, Rahul, there are two big stories. One is the BJP story, the possibility, as you said, that Prime Minister Modi will emulate what Nehru did, win 3 consecutive elections. The other story is the Congress party, losing 3 consecutive elections and its vote share not changing. I keep repeating, there's one figure that stands out for me, Rahul. The BJP got around 7.5 crore votes in 2009. It went up by a whopping 200% to over nearly 22 crores by 2019 in a decade. The Congress vote has remained relatively static at 11 crores. So while we are looking at the BJP and the big picture of Mr. Modi winning his hat-trick, we've got to also look at the Congress party. And I think somewhere there are
but
two
it's not
stories
static.
there.
If the pie is growing up and your portion,
right,
say you're actually declining very badly.
Voters.
So you're not static.
See,
you're declining.
Your vote share is remaining static.
For a moment, and before we kickstart our discussion, let's take you through how this stacks up in terms of seats. We've looked at the vote share numbers. Let's take a look at how many seats each of these parties is projected to bag. The BJP, remember, had a 303 rifle that they were firing last time. This time it's 304. So it's not Mission 370. That's his rallying war cry. They're not there yet. 304 is where they stand. 71 is where the Congress stands, which is up 19 from the last time. Remember, there are gains in states like Telangana, which are helping the Congress do better than it did last time. Others at this moment are at 168, down 20. So that's where it stands. Prime Minister Modi very comfortably placed to be PM once more, which is why Raj Chingappa and his team are saying it's get set for a hat-trick.
Raj, you want to give us what your headline is? What is it hat-trick? Is it the Modi momentum? What is it?
It is set for a hat-trick.
So is it about Modi? Is it about the BJP? How do you see it? I see your cover has Mr. Modi imperiously walking
down. So we're calling it heading for a hat-trick. But let's, just for a moment look at the figures that are there.
Yes.
I mean, it's commendable that Mr. Modi, in his 10th year, is able to deliver the kind of numbers to the BJP and the NDA. And look at the term that he does it. In the second term, I mean, every world leader was under pressure, put on the mat. There was a once-in-a-century pandemic that was there. You had a complete collapse of the economy. You had the Chinese intrusion coming in. You had two wars, the Gaza and Ukraine war that pushed up inflation. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And yet, when we see at the end of 10 years, Mr. Modi is not only shining, but is up there in the league of greatness, possibly statesmanship that is happening. So I think we have to give him credit for what is it. Now, whether he's going to beat the record of Nehru, that has to be seen, but the polls indicate that. Whether he will beat the record of Rajiv Gandhi in 1984, that is to be seen, because 400 at the moment from what we took in these last 3 years, 3 or 4 bellwether states, the NDA seems to be holding, but not really catching up to the 370 that Mr. Modi wanted. I think what we will see in the next 2 months, there will be, I believe, because the way it is trending, and I studied what we did in 2014, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was aspiring and the Congress party was aspiring for a third term. If you looked at our Mood of the Nation poll at that time, in January 2014, the Congress was down to 100, and the UPA was down to 122 seats. And the BJP, the trend line was that the NDA and the BJP was going to win it. Here it's just the opposite. The ruling dispensation is doing it. So I would think that we are going to see a Modi wave, because they can only get better from here. They seem to have equaled what they've done, and we're going to see this huge movement. There are caveats, which...
We will come to the caveats in a moment, but is that how you see it? The big takeaway is the BJP has consolidated, holding its own. If anything, Yashwant Deshmukh, it could go up, possibly, in the next 2 months, depending on the nature of the campaign, the kind of momentum that you tend to get, that the winner gets a kind of bandwagon effect.
Well, bandwagon or not, I've explained the relative turnout thing, which I think will be a very decisive factor, because I believe within the same vote share and sphere, just the higher relative turnout will give BJP extra 2-3 point jump, just by virtue of being able, organizationally and resourcefully, taking the supporter from their home to the polling booth. Out of that, having said that, you all know that from the seat projection perspective, I am a very, very conservative pollster. For what Raj is indicating, what Amitabh is indicating, probably is, they are poking me that, Yashwant, this is the starting block. And I agree to that, because when I look into the gap of 20% vote share for the BJP, Rajdeep, it's like it is likely to end up a complete sweep in many of the states where marginally I have probability-wise given 2 or 3 seats to the others. So if you look into the 335, it can easily be 350 just by taking into the other sweeping stakes of the BJP.
So is there any caveat at all, Rahul Verma? Is there an inevitability of the outcome, as I said, where the question now remains whether the BJP is where Yashwant has pegged them at 303, NDA at 335, or does the BJP go up to 340, 350, NDA 370, 380? Are these the only two scenarios you see, or is there a possibility of a 2004 miracle that the opposition is holding on to?
In Indian politics, there is always possibility, but the other term I'll use is probability. The probability of this now turning in a reverse direction is very, very low. and see what is happening in some ways, just to sort of like add to what Rahul was saying. PM Nehru in his successive elections, 52, 57, 62, Congress vote share did not improve. What is happening with BJP, 31, 37, and now projected is 40, 4 months ahead or 3 months ahead of election. And given if it's a conservative estimate, BJP being an organizational party can actually pick up more votes. With that kind of vote difference, the seat translation is going to be heavy. And second point, Congress is holding on to its 18% vote share and 70 seats because of its perhaps performance in Telangana and states like that. And we don't know what would conspire in some of these states. If BJP ties up with, say, BRS, Telangana seat tally might change.